Good morning, survivors, and happy Friday. I thought you'd like to know something kind of interesting today. I was doing some research, and I like to say that I can look at someone and tell if they're lying. And I think that, I don't know, 70-80% of the time I can do that. But there are certain facial cues that apparently are dependent on which hand you write with. So if you're right-handed or left-handed, you will react slightly differently in your lying. What does that mean? Let's talk about it. But first, do you have your coffee? Are you ready to get started? So everybody tells a little white lie now and then, don't they? We've all done it, yeah, you look totally good in that dress. Or, no, I don't mind, picking you up for the 17th time when your car broke down. It's totally fine with me. No, it's no big deal. I don't mind that I had to wake up in the middle of the night to do it. It's cool. It's cool. So one interesting thing is that there are certain facial expressions that are directly connected to whether or not someone is lying to you, okay? There was an FBI agent who wrote a book about this, and he said that some of these are caused by nervousness, some of them are caused by chemical reactions, and others are caused by physical reactions. Now, I find this rather fascinating, don't you? So what we have here is that the reaction to lying can, for the person who's lying, now, and I'm going to get into more details, but it can be related to which hand you write with, and whether or not you're nervous, and whether or not, your body is reacting to the lie, chemically or physically. It's a complicated subject, right? But here are some simple tips for you. For our purposes, I'm going to assume that you're looking at a narcissist to tell if the narcissist is lying, and in this case, the cues might be a little off, but you know this person well enough, most likely, by this point, that you kind of know when they're telling the truth and when they're not. So for example, and you can run a litmus test. You can ask them a question that they won't lie about, like, something silly, even if you know the answer to it. Okay, like, what's your mother's maiden name again, or something like that, right? And then you watch how they behave when they tell the truth, okay? And then you start to notice that in certain cases they're going to behave differently, right? Well, we're going to point out certain facial expressions today that will help you to read your narcissist better and to get a better idea of what's really happening in your relationship. Yeah, eyes darting back and forth. That's one of the things. So there is literally a physiological reaction when you're inside yourself when you lie, okay? And the bigger the lie, the more the eyes might dart back. The eyes will dart back and forth because you feel uncomfortable, and because quite literally you feel almost trapped. So you're gonna eyes back and forth, So the eyes will dart back and forth because it's actually one of these things that happens because of, like, our ancient instincts, our core instincts. Because there was a point in time back in the day when people had to seek an escape route in order to get away from someone or something that was going after them, and so that's why their eyes would dart back and forth, because they would be preparing to escape. So this is literally like one of those physiological realities about being a human that is a throwback from back in the day when we had to survive. Fight or flight, all of that stuff comes from the same deal. It's like an ancient DNA issue, or whatever you want to call it. It's like from back in the day when we were cave people and we needed to try to escape. And so we, feared that we were in a difficult situation. But in this case, the narcissist is, or whoever is lying to you, is feeling like they're trapped by your question and they don't want to answer it. Another indicator of a person lying to you that's on their face is how often they blink. So in a normal situation, someone will ordinarily, they'll blink 5 or 6 times a minute, or once every 10, 12 seconds, whatever. But when they're stressed out, like when they're lying, they might blink 5 or 6 times in rapid succession. And the reason for that is probably to do with the dopamine in the body. So, but something that you should know about is this. If a person has something like Parkinson's or schizophrenia or certain other various health issues or mental issues, their dopamine production might be off. And so they, like with Parkinson's, they're going to blink a little slower than other people. And with schizophrenia, apparently they blink more often than other people. So something to keep in mind. Those people you can't read that way. So something to think about. Another thing people do when they're lying is they blink real slow, like this. They might hold their eyes closed for longer than a second. And as you know, people don't normally, in a normal conversation, blink for more than 1 second at a time. So another thing to watch for. All right, so here's the deal. Here's the part about right-handed versus left-handed. If you ask a right-handed person a question that he or she is going to tell the truth about, they will tend to look up and to the left. Whereas if you're asking a left-handed person something that they have about something they've seen and they're telling the truth, they'll tend to look up and to the right. So that sucks. But the reason for that supposedly is that when we look up into whichever direction our hand happens to be the opposite of, we're accessing our actual memories according to what studies tell us. Okay, but people who are left-handed, like I just said, they'll do the opposite. So I find that very fascinating. Now, some people apparently will also just stare straight ahead when they're trying to access a memory. So this may or may not be the very best indicator of a liar. Another thing for right-handed versus left-handed is that if you ask a person, hey, what did you just hear? If they're going to tell the truth, if they're left-handed, if they're right-handed, they're going to turn their left ear toward whatever it was to recollect the noise, to remember the sound that they heard. But if the person is, looking straight to the right, they're about to tell a big fat lie. And the opposite is true with a left-handed person, apparently. So, also regarding right-handed versus left-handed, a person who is lying now this is a weird one. If they're lying about the way they feel or the way something smells or something like that, they will look down and to the right. Or if they're left-handed, look down and to the left. Weird, right? Yeah. So, if they're going to tell you the truth on that, they're going to look down and to the left, or vice versa, depending on whether or not they are telling, they're left-handed or right-handed. Another thing you can watch for is the smile or lack thereof. So people who are in a situation where they are going to tell the truth about something, when they're smiling, see what happens when I smile? I get all those little lines, wrinkles, or whatever on the eyes. People who are not telling the truth when they smile, they don't move their eyes. Like, they're so mad, and then they smile. I can't really do it because I'm not lying right now, but you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so something else to consider. And then face touching. Apparently there's a chemical reaction in our bodies that causes us to, when we touch our faces, when we tell a lie, we are more likely to touch our faces. But again, and that's because of the fact that it causes some kind of an itch on our face. But again, obviously some people touch their faces for different reasons, so this may or may not be a legit way to tell. Other things that you might see is someone pressing their lips together because their mouth gets too dry when they lie. People who lie sweat more than regular people. Some people who lie will blush, especially women. It's about the fight or flight response. Another thing that happens is that people who tell lies will shake their heads while they're talking. They'll be like, I don't know, I totally love everything that you're doing right now. It's totally rocking my world. Seriously. Oh my God. That person's totally lying. As you can see, their body's giving them away. So like I said, these methods, they're only partially effective and they only work sometimes. But there are other things you can do. And the main thing that I think you have to do is, if you're dealing with a person who's brand new to you, you ask them questions that you know that they don't need to lie about. And then you ask them questions they might be more likely to lie about, and you watch what happens. But other than that, if this is a narcissist that you're dealing with on the daily, you have to remember this one really important thing about narcissists, and that is that sometimes when they tell you the lies, they really believe them in the moment they're saying them. Like when they tell you that they love you, they probably really mean it, at least at the beginning. All right? But just like anything else with a narcissist, their feelings are fleeting and they're not legitimate. They're not genuine. They're just based on emotions in the moment. And I think that's why they fool us so easily when we're people who can read people as well as we can. So, something to think about. All right, I'm going to wrap up for today. I'm going to get this girl to school, get this video popped up for y'all, and I'll be back today with another video. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday, and I hope you enjoyed this little journey from our regular type of topic. I really enjoy psychology. I really enjoy studying people. And so I'm going to do a few more videos like this where we talk about the psychology of people and how to kind of use it to your advantage. Let me know if you like that idea. All right? I'll see you guys soon. Have a wonderful day. And as always, thanks for being a part of my day and a part of my life. And thanks for letting me be a part of yours.